Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey, welcome back to Sela Social Studies. In this video right here, we're going to cover the post-revolution North Carolina. What was going on in North Carolina post-Revolutionary War and post-beginning of our country, post-Constitution? What is going on in our beloved state? Well, first thing you have to know is this famed gold rush. The gold rush we always hear about is the California gold rush, the 49ers, hundreds of thousands of people moving to California to find millions upon millions upon millions of dollars of gold and ounces of gold. That's not really where the gold rush started, believe it or not. The gold rush started here in North Carolina itself. The first authenticated discovery of gold was in 1799 at the farm of John Reed in Cabarrus County. Okay, and that's on the western part of North Carolina. And the Reed gold mine was established in 1803. So now the first gold rush was actually right here in our state. It yielded about $1 million worth of gold. Now, of course, today that's not that much money, we can say, but in the years of 1804 to 1846, when this was producing gold, it was a lot of gold. Okay, it was the only state producing domestic gold for our national coinage. So there was a lot of gold coming out of North Carolina between 1804 and 1846. And as you can see later on, it becomes a state historic site, the Reed Gold Mine. So what does that do for North Carolina? Well, North Carolina is actually producing the gold supply for the United States from the time of Thomas Jefferson past Andrew Jackson from 1803 to 1848. That's big news for us, right? We were very important in this time. Until 1848, of course, when California outperforms North Carolina with the discovery of gold out in Sutter's Mill. And I mean, that just really blew everybody out to the western part of the United States. However, when we had a lot of placer miners, I mean, finding gold in North Carolina really brought in a lot of placer miners. So it was kind of like a little boom in our population. And if you look at it, yielding a total output, it estimated about $25 million of gold came out of North Carolina. That's very impressive to think that the gold rush that everybody hears about is the one out in California. So we had gold in North Carolina. That's a big thing. An influx of population of miners and supplying the gold supply from 1803 to 1848. But how is the actual economy doing in North Carolina? Well, this slide right here just shows you the Rip Van Winkle state. We were called the Rip Van Winkle state. That's a derogatory nickname given to the state of North Carolina because of the early decades of the 19th century. We were like Rip Van Winkle. If you know who Rip Van Winkle was, he was a fictionary tale character. That's him, a picture right there. He laid under the tree and fell asleep for 20 years. He was stagnant. He didn't do anything. Look at him. He grows this long beard because he's sleeping under a tree for 20 years. North Carolina was deemed to be so undeveloped, backwards, indifferent to our condition, sedentary, stagnant. Our economy was way behind. There was no road system, no river systems, no transportation systems, and we were appeared to be as comatose as Rip Van Winkle. So we do have this gold rush, but what is it? But what does the actual economy post-revolutionary does? Because you see right here the early decades of the 19th century. I mean, that's when we were finding gold, but did it really help the individuals, the citizens of North Carolina? No. And we really kind of were stagnant this way until about 1835, when we had some constitutional reforms which paved the way for a quarter century of a remarkable development in our state. We would build a system of railroads, plank roads, right? Not just dirt roads off in the back field. We would support a statewide system of public schools, a reformed tax system, suffrage. Okay, so North Carolina, these constitutional reforms of 1835 really started to pave a way from 1835 to about the Civil War time. And after the Civil War, which the Southerners called the Northern War of Aggression, that's really where, again, North Carolina kind of comes to a halt because they joined the Confederacy, and after the war, Reconstruction came down. And I mean, that'll be when we start talking about more of a modern North Carolina and the issues that it had. So during that short period of time, because you remember we're talking about a short period of time here between the Revolutionary War and really the Civil War. It's the same generation, really, when you think about it, the late 1700s to the mid 1800s. So you're going to have these people who are like, yes, we won our revolution, we created this government. North Carolina's like, we're kind of stalling behind. And that's the beginning of the 1800s. And then mid 1800s, 1835 to the 1860s, it was like, we're starting to do something now. We're starting to produce things. And then the Civil War happens and it stops again, but we'll discuss that at a later date. So remember that gold was first discovered in North Carolina. It was important. We got a lot of money from it. It was a gold supply, national coinage, and unfortunately for individual citizens of North Carolina, our economy was really, really bad. The Rip Van Winkle state. We had a lot of things going wrong for us, and then again had it going right after 1835 and the constitutional reforms, and then again went back south.